Thanks for joining us once again. The President of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, has received in audience the American Ambassador to the Gambia, Caroline Patricia Alsop, shortly after presenting her letter of credence. The U.S. diplomat said she was at the presidency to further strengthen the existing ties between Banjul and Washington.
First of all, I feel very privileged that to have been able to meet with the President so shortly after presenting my credentials. And we talked about our relationship. We both want to have a continuous dialogue. And we both want the U.S. and the Gambia to continue to be friends, to work together, to improve things for the Gambian people. Okay.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Ambassador to the Gambia, Caroline Patricia Alsop, on Wednesday presented her letters of credence. To the Vice President and Women's Affairs Minister. As we hear in this report, Ajah Dr. Aissatou Sedi has also received the credentials of 2 other foreign diplomats representing their countries in the Gambia. American Ambassador to the Gambia, Caroline Patricia Alsop, Monday morning presented her letters of credence to the Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Sedi at the State House. Shortly after that ceremony, the American diplomat spoke to reporters.
I think there are many opportunities for us to further cement the ties between the U.S. and the Gambia. One of them is coming up very soon with the Roots Festival in May, and I'm hoping to be able to attract a lot more U.S. tourists to that. That's just an example. I'm hoping to be able to help support the healthcare system to improve access to healthcare and improve the quality of healthcare for all Gambians.
The U.S. and the Gambia continue to enjoy decades of mutually beneficial ties. Ambassador Alsop said the presence of American diplomats in Banjul would only help to strengthen the close ties between the 2 countries, premised on promoting sustainable socio-economic growth, peace and tranquility among the people of the 2 nations.
The menace of terrorism, well, we will look at ways that we could work together. I mean, I'm so pleased that His Excellency President Jammeh has made very strong statements against violent extremism, and I think that's certainly a place where we have mutual concern, and we will look for ways that we can work together.
The same day at the seat of the presidency, another diplomat made it through the gates of the State House to begin his diplomatic sojourn in the Gambia. Safwat Ibrahim is the new ambassador of the State of Palestine to the Gambia. I asked Ambassador Safwat what the development means to the 2 countries.
I would like, during my tenure and my mandate, to do all my best to show this added value of Palestinian different sectors, Palestinian human resources in different levels, economic and agriculture, etc. To be useful to the Gambian economics and the Gambian cooperation.
Also at the State House to present letters of credence was Mrs. WINIFRED Peterson, the Danish ambassador to the Gambia.
Excellent relations between Denmark and the Gambia, notably in the area of tourism, but we also have the representation of one of our largest companies, Maersk Lines here in Gambia, and I sincerely hope to contribute to enhance those relations between our countries in the period to come.
The United States and Denmark remains homes to thousands of Gambians, and as the two great nations continue to deepen ties with the Gambia for the benefit of the citizens of the three nations, many of whom are now interrelated through marriage and resettlement, the future is that of hope. Hope that could also be harnessed in the newfound Palestine-Gambia relationship. Reporting for Grts News, I'm WINIFRED NICOL. The ruling Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction has issued a news release stating that the recently concluded Impressive Dialogue with the People tour is yet another unparalleled demonstration and commitment of the APRC government, not only to constitutional provisions and requirements, but more so to the welfare and development aspirations of the Gambian people in their generality. His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babili Mansa, the dispatch states, has as usual and once again clearly reaffirmed his conviction and unreserved determination to serve with utmost sincerity the interests of the masses of the people. The release reveals had over the past weeks, with keen interest, listened to the concerns and views of the population, and with sober reflection and total commitment, delivered relevant and practical responses and solutions to the various development needs of the respective regions, yet again illustrating the undisputed truth that his heartbeat is in unison with the aspiration of the Gambian people. With His Excellency at the helm, the news adds, the Gambian nation is assured of continuous and unprecedented improvement and enhancement in human resources, development, health, agriculture, education, infrastructural development, food security, environmental sanitation, socio-economic development, and eventually a dignified existence for her people. APRC as a party, the dispatch states, extends sincere gratitude to all those patriotic state functionaries and the Gambian people in general, who in one way or the other positively contributed towards the overwhelming success of His Excellency's Dialogue with the People tour. May the Almighty Allah reward you all abundantly for your genuine efforts in the interests of the people and the nation. We urge you to keep up with the spirit and also add that the sustainable development of our beloved nation is a collective task and everybody's responsibility. We all have important roles to play, and when we play our respective roles, let us be guided by sincerity and honesty. The leadership, the APRC news release argues, has exhibited and continues to exhibit dynamism, competence, and the most appropriate vision anchored on practical development initiatives and popular empowerment. Party militants and sympathizers must therefore take sign from the examples of the party leadership in cultivating, promoting, and consolidating unity, a sense of purpose, discipline, and hard work in line with the party constitution and philosophy, thereby demonstrating true loyalty to the leadership and consciously strive for the emergence of a dignified, independent, and prosperous Gambia. In conclusion, and most importantly, we salute and express due recognition of the great work and active participation of all APRC party militants, regional constituencies, and ward structures, the Women's Wing, the Youth Wing, and the Green Youths during this historic event. The dispatch ends. Authorities from the Ministry of Lands and Regional Government and Brikama Area Council on Monday cleared squatters doing business illegal around the Brusubi turntable. Janki Ture visited the scene and she now reports.
Any construction done without the required building permit is an illegal construction and is in turn deemed a danger to public health, according to experts. This is what prompted officials from the Ministry of Lands and Regional Government and Brikama Area Council to combine efforts to demolish illegal business structures at the Brusubi turntable that lack proper documentation and are not well located.
Last week, we came here, we served notices to all people, those who acquired public space illegally. we classify them as squatters. I mean, what we saw here is very displeasing because I mean, it's becoming out of control. So my ministry found it necessary that we should come here, give them warning. We've warned them several times, but this time we want to send a clear message, and I'm sure the message is loud and clear.
The vendors, according to officials, have been squatting and doing business along the highway, causing overcrowding and increasing the risk of accidents.
I think they can have a place, you know, to be part of the business activity that's going on here, but it has to take the legal way. You cannot just jump and come and, you know, settle anywhere you want to settle. We want it to be more organized. Even whereas you know, they have a role to play, you know, in ensuring that, you know, they are also part of the business activity. But it has to be organized. It has to take the legal mean. You cannot just jump, come and, you know, put up a canteen or put up a structure or put your table and start selling.
A proper market is located in the locality, but traders like Jena Batangara, who were doing business at the forbidden area, are not happy with the decision taken by the authorities. The location, though ideal for both buyers and sellers, could be a more suitable place to do business, but it seems there are requirements.
You cannot obtain a development permit without having a certificate of occupancy or a lease. So these guys here, they didn't have any of either of these documents. They are squatters, and the way they squat is definitely very informal, and you can see it is very chaotic when they operate here. So that's what we are trying to avoid. We want to regularize the situation and then see what we can do. We will have a better plan for the area. In fact, we have a plan already, which we would like to use and then sell it to the people, and then everything will be fine according to the plan.
From the look of things, one can safely say the authorities are determined to continue clearing areas where people are squatting. For GRTS News, I am Janke Ture.
Ruling APRC party bigwigs and the party faithful on Sunday gathered for a meeting that saw the APRC chairman for Bundung Bohol ward receive the honorary title of father of the grassroots group Beno. Farmer Akanye picks up the rest of that story.
The Mayor Kanifing Municipality and ruling party national mobilizer Yankuba Koli stated that the municipality is always at the forefront when it comes to setting standards and reminded the meeting that an election year has just started. Koli said this in no uncertain terms that the president, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babili Mansa, is the APRC candidate in 2016 presidential election. The ruling party mobilizer said Kanifing Municipality is an APRC heartland. Mene Magdol-Gay, Minister of Foreign Affairs and APRC liaison officer for Kanifing Municipality, posited that President Jammeh has done everything for the masses, from building schools, notably the University of the Gambia, major and minor hospitals, as well as roads, adding he has also provided potable drinking water and reliable electricity supply. Nena Magdol-Gay argued that it is now incumbent on Gambians to repay President Jammeh's hard work. She warned against disunity and urged all members of the party to welcome newcomers with open arms, noting the APRC is one big family. Alhaji Janko Danso, Alkali Sidi Diop of Serakunda, Ya Awabaji, Ya Fatu Toure, Ibrahim Tamba and Salifu Jammeh all expressed solidarity with the party and re-echoed the declaration made by Mayor Koli. Honorable Babuge Sonko seized the opportunity to enjoin the youth to register during the upcoming voter registration exercise, adding it is only their votes that matter on polling day. The nominated National Assembly member advised APRC militants to stick to the party and be one, adding success can only come through unity. For GRTS News, I am Farmer Akanye.
The man coordinating work at the vast Vision 2016 fields in Pacha, Central River region, has been speaking to Grts about the huge potential of a new Narika variety brought into the country by President Jammeh and put under cultivation for the first time in the country. Major Sidi Balde also spoke about plans to embark upon a massive cultivation exercise this dry season, with expansion works already underway. Farmer Fofana visited the site, and this is his report.
From winnowing, bagging and weighing of corn to the multiple heaps of already harvested rice, work on the Vision 2016 farm in Pachar shows no sign of abating. Even new beds are being prepared on the sidelines of the rice field. A move Major Balde says underlined their resolve to make sure that no empty space here is wasted. The Vision 2016 farms in Pachar stretch kilometers, but for the first time, a new Narika rice variety brought into the country from China by President Jammeh Babili-Mansa has been put under cultivation. And for Major Balde, this development is indicative of their readiness to undertake a mammoth agricultural production come this dry season.
He brought this particular seed for the community, for the Gambian people. He has a big heart for wherever he goes, whatever he sees, he wanted for his people. So that is why, because of his kind-heartedness, when he went and then he showed this, and then he was told what the capabilities of this particular variety is, he decided to bring it for his people, for his farmers, to venture into it and then diversify, because we are used to having specific Narika varieties which they use in the fields. Now he said, now using those varieties, inculcating this new variety to the old one, we will be able to have more.
Although new in the Gambia, Major Balde says this new Narika rice variety has massive advantages than the other one the country is used to, given that it tills more and also produces more grains. Even as harvesting and transplanting are underway, Major Balde says expansion work is also being done in an area that has never been cultivated during the dry season.
We are expanding. This has never been cultivated during the dry season. So we want this year around, the nurseries that I showed you, we want to make sure that those nurseries, some of it comes to this area here. We want to cultivate as much as we could, heading towards Tabanani, inshallah, this dry season.
With canals like this and the newly grown Narika rice performing promisingly, Major Sidi Balde sounded all the more upbeat now after initial fears about the cold.
Did the cold affect this one? It did not. And then we transplanted this thing during the course of this end of November. So if the cold was supposed to affect this one, we will have seen it. That is why we practicalize. He said, look, my friend, just do it and then we see. If the cold affects it, then that's fine. If it did not, then we work on it. So now you can see very clear that the cold is not affecting it. So that is why we are not waiting. We are continuing.
Food self-sufficiency, Major Balde maintains, is key to man's self-independence, giving credit to President Jammeh for the massive support he continues to offer them. Famara Fofana, Grts News.
We will take our first break now. When we come back, we'll take a look at news from beyond our borders. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Tensions are continuing to rise over the sex attacks in Cologne on New Year's Eve. 6 Pakistani nationals and a Syrian asylum seeker were assaulted in the city on Sunday in retaliatory attacks by far-right groups. A state minister, meanwhile, has confirmed that the majority of the suspects are of North African origin or Arab. We have more in this DWTV report.
At the weekend, mobs of protesters fought the police, who used water cannons to disperse opposing groups. A day later, violence was directed at foreigners. Unknown assailants attacked 6 people from Pakistan and a man from Syria. Tensions have been rising in Cologne since the start of the year. It began on New Year's Eve when gangs of men assaulted and robbed women in the city centre. Many perpetrators are said to have been of largely North African and Arab descent. More than 500 complaints have been filed with police. Germany's Interior Minister criticised several groups in an appeal for a rational public debate.
When
asylum seekers are being called cattle, or when they or their refugee shelters are being set on fire, when people say our politicians are abandoning Germany or label them as traitors, when the media is defamed as liars, or when asylum seekers call women crossing the street whores, all of this is absolutely unacceptable.
All das ist schlechterdings inakzeptabel.
As Cologne's world-famous carnival season approaches, celebrations and preparations are well underway for February. This group of female clowns made a brief stop to show support for the victims and to condemn those involved in the attacks. We are appalled that there are men who behave like this and that women must be careful. That's not the way we are. Usually we can do anything we want. Why should we change? They came here. They need to adapt. We'd do the same. Look at me. I'm a foreigner too, and I adapted. I'm Greek. My father was a guest worker. We integrated into German society. 60% of Germans say the attacks on New Year's Eve have not changed their views of foreigners. That's according to an opinion poll. But almost as many also think the influx of migrants has caused an increase in crime.
Poland's foreign minister is downplaying tensions between his country and Germany. He was speaking after taking the rare step of calling in the German ambassador for talks, following what Warsaw said were anti-Polish remarks by German politicians. The EU and Germany have voiced concern over recent reforms in Poland that give the governing party more control over the country's public broadcaster and the country's top court. Let's look at this DWTV report for more on that.
Germany's ambassador to Poland, NICOL, seen here, makes his way to what might have turned out to be an unpleasant meeting. He had been invited to speak with the Polish foreign minister. But afterwards, both said it wasn't as bad as expected. The foreign minister said that German-Polish relations are not at all tense. It was all simply a matter of miscommunication about Polish democracy. We had a very constructive conversation this morning, right at the start of the new year. German-Polish relations are a treasure that we want to build upon, and that we want to continue to develop in the future. The German European Parliament President Martin Schulz had upset the Polish government when he likened Poland's current politics to guided democracy in the style of Russian President Vladimir Putin. EU Commissioner Günther Oettinger also sharply criticized Poland for constitutionally questionable new legislation adopted by the ruling Law and Justice Party. The dispute escalated once again over the weekend. The powerful party leader Jarosław Kaczyński went even further in front of members of the Law and Justice Party. He said he would not let pressure or words from German politicians prevent his party from following its path. Even so, both sides want to keep the lines of communication open. The Polish head of government will likely pay an inaugural visit to Berlin in mid-February.
It has been another volatile day on Asian markets. Chinese shares finished sharply lower than Shanghai Composite lost 5.3%, whilst the Hang Seng closed more than 2.5% in the red. Jitters from the sell-off in market last week continue to keep investors rattled. Details in this DWTV report.
Heading south. Starting in China, the downward spiral. Markets in Asia are once again heading south. Starting in China, the downward spiral spread to South Korea, Taiwan, and even to Australia. Nobody wants to be stuck holding on to worthless shares.
The market still faces selling pressure because the fundamentals have not changed. Chinese economic growth is slowing.
Small investors in China had to watch their money disappear into thin air on Monday. Many have invested their life savings into stocks, and now they're angry at the government for failing to protect them. Chinese stock markets are based on small and medium-scale investors, unlike stock markets overseas. So public policy should take the interests of the vast majority of investors into consideration. But the Chinese government appears to have lost control. After first using the circuit breaker mechanism last week, the market turbulence only increased, leading authorities to put the new system on hold. At the moment, no one can say what will keep stocks from falling even further, and that is scaring investors the most.
We take our second break now. When we come back, we'll take a look at sports. Welcome back. The Eastern Fonyi Federation recently held its second sports fiesta. The event held in Kalaji saw the participation of a number of youth groups and organizations. Babakar Senghor reports.
Fonyi Federation, an association of young people in the district, recently held the second edition of the association's annual sports festival in Kanlaji. The program of events included series of sporting activities as well as talent show, which saw one Khadijatu Sabali crowned as winner. There was also a marathon competition for both boys and girls. According to the organizers, the program is meant to promote social cohesion and as well inculcate discipline among young people, while helping them pursue their academic potentials. The participants also had time to take part in a keenly contested volleyball match. And after what organizers describe as another successful run of activities, they are now hopeful of staging similar events annually. For Grts News, this is Babakar Senghor.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. President Jammeh Babili Mansa has received in audience U.S. Ambassador Caroline Patricia shortly after presenting her letter of credence to the Vice President. The Lands and Regional Government Ministry have moved to evict individuals and businesses occupying strategic public spaces illegally. 6 Pakistanis and a Syrian asylum seeker attacked in the German city of Cologne. This as the fallout from the mass sexual assault on New Year's Eve have continued to spiral. And Poland's foreign minister have summoned Berlin's ambassador to Warsaw for talks after European and German criticism of recent reforms. Well, viewers, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, WINIFRED, NICOL, and the entire news team, thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us and enjoy the rest of our programs.